Awareness is the first step in shadow work, and you can do this by paying attention to your thoughts, actions, mental images, automatic things that you say. Maybe you catch yourself saying something and you think, oh, one of my parents used to say that, but you've never really thought about whether you mean it or what the meaning is. Also, your inner dialogue. So, for example, you might not even really be aware of it, but what thoughts are going on in your mind? Which are they positive? Are they negative? Are they encouraging you? Are they discouraging you? All of these things can be quite unconscious, but if we really pay attention and notice what our mind is telling us and learn not to identify with those thoughts, we can create a separation between them and create our own thoughts in a more positive way. The shadow often shows up through triggers. It might be that a certain situation happens and that always evokes the same kind of reaction from you, and it seems to be automatic. It's not something you feel in control of. That could be the shadow in operation. It can be shame related. So if you have been shamed for something in the past, this can kind of take over and you act from a place of shame rather than a place of being yourself, of expressing yourself fully. That can be a sign of the shadow showing up. So just notice your behaviors, your thoughts, your actions without judgment. The key is to be curious about what's happening, not to judge yourself. So no negative self-talk, just observe, just be aware, and then you can reflect and work out where these things might be coming from and what the root cause might be, or the source of this type of behavior, thought, or action. Once you've observed, you can evaluate, does this feel like it belongs to me, or is this coming from another place? And is this something I want to keep in my life, or is it something I want to evolve and move on from? Some practices can help, such as journaling. So you could journal things that have happened during the day, thoughts that came up, observe situations or relationship dynamics and make a note of those. The value in this is that if you do that every day, you'll start to really notice the patterns. And writing it down, I find, also helps to remember it more clearly, rather than if you're just going about your day, maybe you're not going to remember these situations or occurrences that happened if it's not written down. You can go back over a longer period then. So if you do your journal for 3 months, you could go back over that 3-month period and you might notice patterns that you wouldn't have otherwise been aware of. Mindfulness and meditation are helpful. So if you just take some time to sit quietly by yourself, you'll notice what thoughts come up. If you have anxious thoughts, they're likely to pop up when you're still and quiet. And anything that's on your mind, that is likely to come up again when you're relaxed. Notice what thoughts come up and get curious about them and observe. So a lot of this is about being the observer, just of noticing what you're doing, noticing what happens during the day, notice what you're conscious of, notice what seems to be unconscious, reflect on maybe things that have happened where you didn't feel present, where on reflection you didn't appear to be fully conscious or making conscious choices. And when you do this without judgment, it enables you to evaluate and to assess and to really be able to act from a place of choice rather than acting automatically. Another thing that can be helpful is to make a note of anything positive people say about you. So if you get a thank you at work, if you get a compliment from a friend, maybe make a note of all of these, because this is affirming and will help validate who you are. On the flip side of that, if you're a people pleaser, that you seek validation, and it might be that your behaviors are designed to get approval rather than acting from a place of authenticity. In fact, if you are acting authentically, it's likely that you'll get less positive reactions than if you were acting from a place of people pleasing. If you get some negative feedback or something that doesn't sit right for you, maybe sit with that a while and just think, is there a grain of truth in what's being said? If it's something that's bothering you that you don't seem to be able to let go of, could it be that that's not the full truth, what was said, but there's a grain of truth in there? Once you are able to make that connection, you'll see that the thing that's bothering you will kind of fade away and you'll stop thinking about it. When your awareness increases and the power of the shadow fades away, it just gives you more personal power. You'll feel stronger in yourself and more able to make clear decisions. It gives you more clarity, the ability to see things clearly, to understand people's motivations and understand the dynamics between you and other people. and to sort of question those and see whether you want to keep those things in your life or whether you're ready to move on. This is all about stopping living on autopilot and being conscious of what you're doing day to day. You may find it helpful to work with affirmations. So this is where you give yourself a positive affirmation and you repeat that daily, and that does affect your subconscious. So even if you're not really believing it, you can say something positive, and the more you say it and the more often you say it, it will start to change the way that you think and change your subconscious. So an example of an affirmation might be, I am safe to see myself clearly. I am safe to act authentically. Just something very simple to start with. But you can experiment with this, experiment with a few phrases and see what resonates with you, see what feels right. And you can use an affirmation, repeat it every day. Maybe look at yourself in the mirror while you're saying it. Maybe say it 3 times, 10 times. Again, whatever feels right. And then repeat it over a number of days. So I hope you find this helpful. This is all about meeting your shadow side without fear and learning to act more consciously.